Good evening YouTubers, I am new to the game here, and this is my first video. I have been watching many videos throughout the black sector of YouTube, and I have decided to jump in. For a while now, Cynthia G has been catching my attention and, with one of her more recent videos, I decided to go ahead and throw in my 2 cents. The name of her video that I will be referencing is called, Why Black Women Are Fed Up. This will be an easy video to deconstruct. First, I'd like to point out that Cynthia G makes frequent use of the apex fallacy when speaking of white men, whom she refers to as men in the dominant society. I'm surprised that no one has called her on it, or has even used that term in the black manosphere. That term is widely used in the manosphere proper. In case you don't know what it is, one is said to have used the apex fallacy when they utilize the top echelon of a particular group of people in order to represent that group of people as a whole. The opposite of this is called the nadir fallacy, where the bottom echelon is used to represent the group. I swear, the next time y'all niggas get into a live debate with Cynthia G, you need to bring up that term and make her answer for it. Without further ado, I am going to address the points that she made in her video. First, she claims that white feminists did not seek to remove gender roles, which, in the case of white men, is to build, protect, provide, etc., and that they only sought equal power. I don't know what kind of bubble this dumb bitch has been living in, but the term, gender roles, in and of itself has been used in the pejorative for decades by feminists who constantly speak of wanting to free themselves from them. Furthermore, try going to a white feminist group on social media, and try repeating that. You are going to be in for a long motherfucking flame war, my nigga. But, to Cynthia G's credit, she's partially right about one thing: white women merely claim that they want gender roles gone. But they don't really want it. Cynthia G didn't specify that. Either because she's ignorant of this fact, or because she herself actually thinks like a white feminist. My money says it's the latter. Let's make one thing clear: Cynthia G laid out a blatant hypocrisy of white feminists, but is too stupid to realize that she did. And white men discuss this hypocrisy all the time. The hypocrisy that she laid out is the fact that white feminists want the same privileges as men, but without having to give up the perks of womanhood in order to get them. This is how the manosphere got started in the first motherfucking place. The very first faction of the manosphere was the men's rights movement, and it was started by white men who got sick and tired of dealing with this hypocrisy. Their core belief is that if women want equal rights, then they are to have equal responsibilities. Again, white men started this. But Cynthia G won't talk about that, will she? I mean, fuck, as much as I hate Deborah Cooper, even she will talk about that. Here is something you need to think about. White men are fed up with having to give these things to white women, hence the existence of manosphere proper. For all you swirlers out there watching this video, Lord help you in your attempt to get the things from white men that they won't even give their own women. But y'all ain't ready for that discussion. Cynthia G then goes on to discuss the things that black men don't own. For now, I will address jobs, protection, hospitals, grocery stores, housing, etc. I'm going to discuss clothing lines afterwards, because she's a special kind of stupid on that. But for the previous things that she mentioned, again, she's using the apex fallacy for all of these things, with the exception of protection, because you don't have to be a top-tier member of society in order to be a police officer. Furthermore, police forces are racially and ethnically diverse. Or has this dumb bitch never seen a black cop before? Of course she has. But I bet she'll say the same dumb shit about black cops that are typical of pro-vax. Bottom line is that when it comes to protection, you are just not going to win with Cynthia G. You are damned if you do, damned if you don't. When it comes to jobs, this shows you just how useless her psychology degree is. Just about every place she goes to earn a living, including the place where she earns her living right now, i.e., Google by way of YouTube, is owned by shareholders who trade stock on Wall Street. What does that mean? If you own stock, then you are an owner of a company that employs black women. If you are a black man who owns stock in Google, then guess what? You own the company that pays Cynthia G. Same thing for grocery stores. If you own stock in a particular chain, you own the store that Cynthia G buys her food from. Fuck outta here with that mess. As for rental properties, she's making it clear that she's talking about whole apartment complexes, because if she was talking about individual condominiums and single-family homes, she would know for a fact that there are black men who own such rental properties. But let's talk about the apex fallacy here. I, personally, do not know the men who own these apartment complexes. Does Cynthia G? Why is Cynthia G associating white people as a whole with the very tier of white people that she likely has had zero exposure to? It just doesn't make sense. The average white man is not the guy who owns the complex. The average white man, in fact, gets shit on by the same people that black men get shit on by. The average white man would get snubbed at a country club just like the average black man would. But Cynthia G's use of the apex fallacy won't let y'all see that. As for the clothing, where has Cynthia G been for the last 20 or 30 years? I mean, shit, we can take this all the way back to Cross Colors, Karl Kanai, Fuckpum, Pelepel, etc. Sure, these companies have come and gone over the years, but all of that is based on black people's willingness to support them. Furthermore, clothing worn by people in the black community, or even hip-hop community if that's what you'd rather say, is a niche market. You can only crank out enough to cover that percentage of the US population, so of course they are not going to be big companies like Levi or Lacoste. Is Cynthia G intelligent enough to realize this? And where all these Hispanic banks and schools that she speaks of? Has Cynthia G not heard of the Bank Black movement? Has Cynthia G not heard of HBCUs? And where does Cynthia G get that women of other races don't, quote-unquote, go to men outside of their race to get needs met? Where are the women of all races going to fill gas tank up? To the Indian and Pakistani men. White men don't own those corner stores. They don't even own corner stores in their own communities, because Indian and Pakistani men own them there too. I mean, goddamn, has Cynthia G ever watched The Simpsons? The Simpsons, along with everyone else in their mostly white community, goes to the store owned by Abu, an Indian man. Do white women think less of white men for not owning gas stations and corner stores? Because she's asking rhetorical questions, suggesting that women would lose respect for men of their race if they had to go to men of other races for things. So, by her logic, white women think less of white men for not owning gas stations and corner stores. Cynthia G has problems, she feels a certain way, and she's always going to find a way to justify how she feels. Maybe she should do like Donald Trump said, and drink some disinfectant. Put herself out of her own misery, and spare the rest of us her presence. That's all for now, and I'm just getting started. This is the Caramel Citizen once again, and